Record. All right. KIAN SANEII, right? SANEII.
Very good. It's perfect.
KIAN SANEII, CEO of Independa. Really thrilled to have you here today, and I'm eager to hear about your solution that turns a TV into a communication device, which in this sort of tech adoption world, I think is going to be a great service to older adults and the people that we serve. But before we dive into your solution, KIAN, tell us a little bit about yourself and how your career led to this chapter.
Sure, you bet. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone. And Steve, it's great to be with you and everyone else on our call today. So a little bit about me. My background is in software, and I have a master's computer science, went to Bell Labs, and I've been in software my whole life. After my last venture, which ended probably close to, it's close to 12 years ago now. Yep. I was involved with a search to find the next big thing. And back then the mobile phones were taking off and the Apple iPhone had just come out, and I was focused on what's the next big thing to do using this new third screen. And long story short is I saw the aging marketplace, and my own family had gone through this experience. My parents had taken care of my grandparents, and my grandmother had just passed, and my parents at the time were in their 60s and early 70s. And, there was no tool in any way to help them with their journey to be informal caregivers. And I didn't think about it at the time. When I was looking at the market, I realized, boy, this is obviously a major challenge. We're all going to have less taxpayers, less children, less beds, less doctors, less geriatricians, and less funds. But the numbers are growing, as we all know. So back then it was 10,000 per day, turning 65. Now it's 11,000. And this is a huge market that's going to grow. So I went to the group called IDEO, the really famous, fantastic design group, and asked them, why is it that 30 years into this, the brand for technology for older adults is still iPhone and I can't get up? And that was really the question that I wanted to answer before I ventured into anything, because it was just shocking to me that we didn't have better tools. And credit to them, they came back with what ultimately, and right then, became Independa, and down to the wireframes. And this is back in 2009, 2010 timeframe when we launched the company. And the final reason Independa exists is, they came back and said, nobody has really put together a holistic platform that helps a caregiver take care of someone from distance. There's care management tools, there's individual silos, there's things about memory retention, there's things about social isolation, there's things about med reminders, all of that. And they're all like PERSs, as you know, but everyone is an individual solution. So they said, we need to do that, which is what we've done. And we have a HIPAA compliant backend, which is, enterprise grade. And we'll talk about that if it's relevant. So for organizations, they can have all the right structure to manage their client base. But then they said, it has to be, obviously, and we all talk about it, super simple, super easy to use. And we started with a tablet, and we had the world's first tablet, but it just wasn't easy enough. So we did a lot of heavy lifting, and we're now on TVs. And in fact, it's probably a good time to show you this very simple device goes behind the TV, HDMI in, HDMI out, and you get a USB connection for camera on the TV, and this very simple remote control, up, down, left, right, enter, backlit, and now your TV gets to do all sorts of cool things we'll talk about.
And so this is a platform that can be installed on any TV to turn it into a communication device, correct?
Literally, Steve, we call this the Independa AnyTV Companion.
So, okay, well, that's a great name. Probably had the IDEO folks help you with that too. No.
Great minds think alike. So yeah, any TV that has HDMI on it doesn't even have to be a smart TV. So the earlier TVs that are not smart TVs have HDMI on them for the past almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
The other thing is LG is an investor and a partner. So LG commercial TVs have Independa embedded inside them from the get-go. So
Oh,
you don't,
wow. Okay.
yeah,
So like, for example, an assisted living, let's say a brand new assisted living or an assisted living
or short-term
is
rehab. Short-term
looking
rehab,
to
they're
update.
building TVs in, or nursing home. If you have the opportunity, you're building something and you're listening to Steve and I's voices and images today, get LG TVs, because you have this world open up into the room free of charge, essentially, from an installation and configuration hardware standpoint.
Oh, pretty cool. I like the path, and I'm really excited to dive into this, and I already have questions coming in. But one of the thing, well, two things. Number one, the topic of technology and making technology easier for older adults who might be resistant or challenged with technology. Any solution is embraced by our audience, because we realize that we've got a wide variety of different clients that we're working with, and some may or may not be comfortable with technology. However, any platform that becomes easier to use technology is not just something that's good for the intimidated tech adopter. It makes it easier for all of us,
Yeah.
and so the second thing is, I love that your journey started with sort of creating a tablet product, and then you realized that, geez, this might be easy for some people to use, but let's really make things simpler. So I'm excited to dive in and learn more about this. Would you like to share your screen or show us a demo, or how
Yeah,
would you like to?
I'm happy to do that. Let me just follow up with a comment you just made around tablets and computers. So more and more people are able to use tablets and computers all the time, and that's great. That's fantastic. But what we solve is reaching a baseline in an organization's client base. That's the key. So if I'm a home care organization, if I'm senior living, and I'm a health plan, I'm doing population health, any of these, if I want to be able to reach essentially the most expensive in one case and the most profitable in another, depending on your business model, the folks who are the least reachable, the most susceptible now with our COVID tragedy, the most generally susceptible for health issues, chronic conditions, the most isolated, it's the TV and the telephone. That's it. So if 20% go to 25% of being able to use a tablet, that's still not good enough. And I need to reach my most unreachable. I need to have a platform that reaches everyone. That's the challenge. So if I want to think of it as an individual, and mom is using FaceTime and she's on her tablet and she's okay with computers and all that, then that's great. But if I'm an organization trying to reach mom, you better believe she's probably in front of her TV and can use her TV no matter what. And so that's the key. It's not about those technologies not growing. It's about they're nowhere near blanket adoption.
Yeah.
So
Well, what I also like is that, we oftentimes think of the TV as this, it's not an engaging tool. It's something that you just sit in front of and kill time. Yes, you can learn things by watching interesting programs, but for the most part, our television isn't interactive. And I believe you're going to show us how it can be an interactive tool, which is maximizing its productivity.
In fact, I'll actually, we haven't talked about this, Steve, but I'll actually show the interface as well, live, real quick.
Oh, I love it.
Get to, very simple, yeah. So that's one thing. The other thing, just to emphasize what you mentioned about why the TV, it's really out of respect. So the way I talk about is we're building the system for ourselves. And it's not that I can't get on a computer or tablet, it's that I'm used to certain things. And if I respect the person I'm bringing technology to, the best technology is the one you don't even know it's there. So if I have to go teach someone, if your care staff has to be teaching someone hand-holding, or it gets dropped or it's stolen, or passwords and virus scans and software updates and all that, then I'm really not doing a good job making it easy for you. So everyone talks about simplicity, but the baseline is, can you just really not have to learn a whole lot to use the system? So with that said, unless there's any questions before I jump in, let me just do a couple slides then.
Yeah, we got a bunch of questions, but I'm going to hold off before. Give us an intro, and then we'll dive into the questions.
Okay, so let me do a couple things. I'm going to share my screen, and I want to go through these quickly, but I just want to have everyone have a common reference. So this is our vision, that we can all thrive at any age, and we can enjoy the residence of choice, whether it's in our home or in a community setting, longer, safer, more comfortably. And in fact, we can delay or maybe even eliminate the next episode or possibly the entire stage of care following. So how we stay independent and interdependent in a positive way helps with that. And so lots of awards and accolades, including last year we were chosen as the cover for the annual edition of Top 10 Remote Patient Engagement Solutions. You'll see we're not a medical solution. We have partnerships with LG and Dish. So a Dish remote control could replace our own remote, which I'll show you in a moment. So the idea is we talk about the consumerization of healthcare, which to me is a very sort of a soft and powerful value prop, versus the medicalization of the consumer, which is a very sort of old school ivory tower doctor hospital coming into the home with very expensive solutions paid by CMS dollars or Medicare and so forth. So we're all about private pay, although there's a lot of legislation that's going to help with people choosing technologies and services that help them stay independent, which makes sense because that saves a huge amount of money down the road. But the big chunk here, the blue that you see, is the consumer. That's all of us. So we're looking at roughly 50 million people in the US. And the smaller slices comprise senior living communities. But the right platform really is agnostic to all of that. It's really built around the person. And in our case, can turn their, as you mentioned, Steve, their commodity appliance TV into a bidirectional engagement window to the world. And also really importantly, have ROI and efficiencies and effectiveness for the organization that brings us in. So you could see on the left side, you know, the organizations like home care, pharmacies, providers, special need plans, family and friends are also providing all these services to the consumer. So it's not just the consumer, it's really a business to consumer, if that's a partnership that makes sense for our customers. And over here on the slices, of course, those are senior living, various stages of senior living. So this is just an interesting position around where everything is going. We're not a medical system, and yet we are all about wellness and health, and especially social isolation as a major issue around loneliness, depression, as we all know, especially with COVID, but even without COVID, we all know this. And then that leads to self-neglect, which clinically is proven leads to medication neglect, leads to recidivism into the system, lots of costs and anguish. So guess what lonely people are doing all day? They're in front of their TV. So even if you're not in front of the TV, you can get reminders on your phone and so forth. So we don't require you to be in front of the TV. So I talked about this. We turned this appliance into a bidirectional window to the world. And then our remote can get replaced with a dish remote if you happen to have a dish system. But that's not something that that's available generally, but for businesses, organizations, we can work with you and Dish to make that happen. And also then a software model. So anyone can download the mobile app, and that allows you to basically create unlimited connections, both professional and personal. Really important to note, you end up having staff that gets to have role-based authentication so that staff sees everyone, but the daughter just sees dad. And essentially what you're doing is you can help your staff engage with family members much more efficiently because things can be left behind and they can see it at their time. But also the daughter can help with other types of remote engagement, all free of charge. So there's one license and you have unlimited use, both professionally and personally. So this is a really interesting chart to just kind of show you the breadth of the Independa platform. So we can go anywhere from a hospital to the home. And on the hospital, we have a separate patient education system, which you won't see today, but also then with ACOs and hospital readmission penalties and so forth, as soon as someone goes anywhere, if it's post-discharge, then they can leave with the device that I showed. But also, even without a post-discharge world, to the right of the blue line is in the home. So we have very powerful value props for home care and very powerful value props for home health. On the home care side, this is a service that you can offer for a few $100s a month for those who are not ready for the few thousand, or if you have staffing challenges, or if you want to go further upstream to catch a customer base. And it's pure margin basically, because there's no on-site involvement at that moment. Or you can include this as a competitive advantage for all of your install base. So now you have remote engagement and care, all the family members can do video chat, all of that in a simple way. You don't have to go to WhatsApp, or your data is being sold, or FaceTime and so forth. That's on home care. Home health is really interesting because every time you leave, you lose a customer, and with us, you can leave something behind. And that something can be paid on a private pay basis. So under the gold line, you see is insurance-based, over it is private, left of blue is institutional, right of blue is home. And the same thing with, across this continuum of care, short-term rehab, independent living, assisted living, et cetera. And different aspects of our platform kick in depending on the condition of the person and or the position of our partner into that marketplace. And I'll leave you with this slide, which is really all about isolation and loneliness and clinical depression. There's more and more organizations now on the health side looking at this, where we talk about social determinants of health, and people realize what's been obvious for a long time, which is if someone is lonely and depressed, it's really bad for their health, and it's very expensive for the system, expensive for them and the family. So I'll leave with that, Steve, the few short, and let me just show you real quick since I'm here, the platform itself, so people get a sense of how we look. So imagine the white screen is your TV, and you're just watching normal TV. And if you have a picture that comes in, instead of that saying access your home screen, that would drop down and say you have a picture. And if you click on it before it goes away, it takes you to the picture. Or if you have a message, the same thing. Or if you have a video chat call coming in, it pops up on your screen and tells you who's calling, and you just click on your remote and now you're doing video chat with someone. Or you can do all of those. So if I go in, I can look at my pictures, for instance. If I'm in memory care, I can actually put a picture in reminiscence mode, so I can cycle through these pictures. So there's really an endless number of services and benefits that are built in. I can look at messages. I can even respond back to messages and so forth. So for instance, I can go in and react with a message. I can react to a picture. People see if I've seen something. So in short-term rehab, they can send a message saying, can I see you early? And they see the person saw it. I can do video chat right from here. I can call staff if I wanted. If staff wanted to be present here, otherwise staff can call me. I can call family and friends, etc. There's a little ADL thing that popped in, support for activities of daily living. I have music. I can play back videos, so educational videos. Here's a video from
This is Angela.
Independa you can find on our website, but it could be exercise videos, faith-based videos, instructional videos, etc. So it really opens up the whole world. And a senior living setting, I can put my dining menus, I can do searches on community calendars. Everything is all in one place, and you have a new way to engage your resident or your client. So, and last but not least, not just surveys and work orders for senior living, but I can actually enter health information right here and have thresholds. So if I'm worried about what's happening with mom, if I'm calling her every day, and she's, please give me your pulse, please step on the scale. This automates it. I can enter things here. She can do it. I can do it on the mobile app, and I can put thresholds against it. So I get to track things over time. That's really quick, hopefully helpful to everyone. And
and I think based on some of the questions that I've seen coming in, we'll probably dive in deeper here. But so first off, I'm going to start at the bottom, but just to clarify, this is available to consumers. So like if I just after this demo, I was like, wow, this would be a great thing for me to have on my TV to make me more productive. I could go out and buy it and install it to my television set this afternoon, correct?
That's right. So you can go to independa.com. We have two versions of subscription. One is $39 a month, and we include the hardware, but as long as it's you do that for a year or more. If you cancel before the end of the year, just like a carrier, because we're including the hardware, there's a $199 penalty. But you can actually start with $39 a month and go that way. The other way, which you save actually $99, is annual subscription of $369. So for that, you get it, and there's no penalty, obviously, but you have a license for a whole year. And either way, we ship it to you, and there's a nice, really simple instruction guide that comes with the system, and you can install it literally in about 10 minutes. All you do is basically enter your Wi-Fi information. So you pick the Wi-Fi and enter your password, and it comes in a nice box like this, and anyone can open it, and everything you need is in there. We have an extra HDMI cable, we have the camera, power, the remote, and the system.
Okay, great. No, because one of the questions that came in is Independa's website indicates it's a business model, B2B, and I noticed all the chat on the webinar, on our webinar, are businesses, and what portion of the customer base are individuals versus businesses. I want to clarify, guys, most of the people that attend our webinars are senior care professionals, but we have a growing number of older adults and family members that have been tuning in. So I don't want you to think that this is, or any of the providers that we bring on here are 100% B2B. We're trying to educate you all on resources for your clients or for yourselves. And so this is a great example where it might seem like we're talking a lot about B2B, but this is a consumer product as well. However, I would say to you, Kian, you could see where this can create what historically has been sort of these closed circuit TV systems in a senior living building, how this could be an amazing solution for a senior living community.
That's right, and so that's so it's all true. There's no either or, and the chat comment is valid and appreciated. The funny thing is, if you're on the business side, you go in and you get the sense maybe we're a consumer company, and if you're a consumer, you go in and you get the sense maybe we're a business company. So probably the best thing is, I'm just going to show everyone right here. If you go to independa.com, you will see. Right here, we try to balance everything, because even if you're a business, at the end of the day, there's a consumer on the side that you serve, and then there's a circle of care that you can extend, again, to the same people free of charge. So there's a consumer extension. So if you come here, right here is, if you want to look at this, the first thing that the person noted was for my organization. So that's definitely a business value prop. And these could be all sorts of things, like you could look at home care, home health, health insurance, very important, telcos, cable operators, all of that. But then right here under it, you see for myself or for my loved one. And so here's where you can actually purchase the system, whereas this organization would not purchase off the website, and they would have a enterprise discussion with us.
Great. No, good. Hopefully that answered that. Now, you brought up Wi-Fi, but Galera asks, does it require having internet? Because it's a TV, is this an internet Wi-Fi product or a cable product, or how does that work?
Right. So the only thing we require other than an HDMI enabled TV is an internet connection through Wi-Fi. So you need to have an internet connection through Wi-Fi. In many cases, in a home care setting, for instance, our home care partners actually provide that. So if someone is paying you $2,000 or $3,000 a month, and you want to, both have a competitive advantage and retain them. We have folks in a memory and dementia setting in home care. They save so many trips because they can actually speak with someone and sort of talk them down through an episode using their own TV, which they're in front of, versus having someone, drive to a rural area. In that case, it's just a nothing, internet addition, even if they don't have internet. But even if they do, sometimes people don't know their Wi-Fi passwords. So again, it's really simple. You come in with the router. You don't even have to get down to the password. You just add your own access point right then and on the install. And now they have Wi-Fi that you can set up a password for them.
Great. Let's see. Okay, so let me kind of dive into these questions. Okay, does Independa allow independent? Okay, does Independa allow independent equipped TV to include screen within a screen? So are you able to like watch your favorite TV episode and communicate at the same time?
No, we could, but it's really, again, the design principles are really all about simplicity.
Yeah.
And you know, we even go out of our way to make obviously the fonts big. And there's a lot of navigation magic that happens, which doesn't appear like it's doing a lot, but it actually, we spent years literally perfecting, you know, the yellow hue around the big area there. Or you'll see a little yellow flash on the left arrow or right arrow as I go. So having another screen in there is just going to be very distracting. And you can in fact just quickly go to watch TV.
Okay. And actually, as I read this question more, they're saying that is, if a caregiver or loved one is remote and wants to share his with a loved one, like a YouTube video, is it possible to do that?
So you can do a whole bunch of things. You can actually do broadcast messages live as an organization. So if you're home care, for instance, you can do broadcast messages to individuals or to everyone or to groups. You can also do a playback of videos that you have. So you can build a library of videos that you can record or you can get, and those can be played back and as part of a calendar event. So somebody gets a reminder, it's a broadcast message. Or you could send a message to everyone. So you could send a marketing message and everyone gets it, for instance, on their TVs. So you could do all of those if you have a live thing that you were talking about, or you could do video chat to an individual. So you have an option of broadcasting to everyone or one person, or you can have a one-to-one video chat with one person.
Well, now that I'm kind of reading in more detail on what they're asking, I think this is all great. Let's use an example of, let's say a grandmother is her grandchildren call up using this platform and they want to show a YouTube of a play that they were just in. Is the ability to have a split screen where you could see the grandchildren and see the play at the same time?
No, not currently.
Okay.
There's future development around allowing more than one person to call in on the screen. And again, there's a lot of detail around usability and user experience because the size gets smaller. So we have to be mindful of the screen size. I mean, I can't tell you how many times a small tablet or a small computer screen, people just don't see enough. You know, you see a picture of somebody in a play, it's like, where's Johnny? I can't tell where Johnny is.
Yeah.
So we have to be mindful of that. But I think 2 is fine, it's viable. 4 starts getting very questionable, but 2 I think is doable.
Oh yeah, just think about these Zoom meetings that we're having these days. Yeah. Like, but one of the exciting things about your platform as you begin to play around with that is, for the most part, just about every TV set is larger than the laptops and computer screens that we're using. So you got a lot more real estate there. Now, the downside is most of us watch our TV from a lot further away than we do when we're in front of our computer. So,
right.
Okay.
The ratio is still much more acceptable to the eye. Like, you know, you can read things on a TV screen because they're designed to be read at that distance, but what you read on a tablet or a computer is designed not for the eyes of an 80 or a 90-year-old. That's the challenge.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's see. Please confirm that Independa operates from the web and internet, which is good, whereas GrandPad, which operates from cell phone towers, which is not good. And whatever that legal language is, the opinions of our attendees are just their opinions, not of the host or the organization. So you're operating from the web and the internet, not cell phone towers, correct?
That's correct. We don't take cell phone data or cell phone required connectivity.
Are there any financial assistance programs for those that qualify to access the device? Are there any programs out there currently?
That's a great question. There may be organizations that do that, we can look to find them if someone's interested. I'm happy to be, you know, connected to that person, and I'll see what I can do to find people who could support that. Also, as I mentioned, there's legislation with the new administration. It's not law yet, so I don't know, but I believe there's going to be $5,000 per year that gets allocated with the right profile person to help with any type of product or service purchase to say independent. That
Wow.
could be a walker, that could be a scooter, that could be Independa, that could be, an automated chair up the lift, that could be services. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what COVID has taught us is that our health, like a product like this can improve our health just like a wheelchair or walker can in a different world, in a different setting. That isolation can be crippling to us, and anything that makes isolation easy should be an approved product.
Steve, let me just emphasize what you just said a little bit more. I can't overemphasize the stories that we get all the time around people's lives really changing because people can connect with them. Embedded inside our system, we have something called life stories, which allows family members to actually have mom or dad answer audio questions, and we categorize them in categories, and we have the questions, and basically you capture someone's wisdom in audio files. You could share them with family members, et cetera. The effect of that is not just for the family, but it's even more so for the individual who is being heard, who is talking to people, who's being recognized. And we can't even imagine the effect of isolation at 80 or 90 years old. All your friends are gone, your families may be busy and they can't see you as much as they want. Now you add COVID on top of that. And it's just unimaginable, the loneliness. And so any way we can help, and whether it's our own phone call, with or without Independa, we can visit. And COVID has just highlighted that. I read an article about how this lady said, my mom died of COVID and she never caught the disease. And it was all around loneliness because people couldn't visit her anymore.
Yep. No, we hear a lot of, those of us who are in the field are hearing this on a daily basis. But now going back to sort of subsidies and cost assistance, this is where if you're part of an organization, let's say that you're a client of a home care company, or let's say that you live in a senior living community and your organization embraces this technology, they may or may not pass the cost to you. So that's one way that people can get this platform on a low or no cost basis. And you sort of gave us the cost guidelines for a consumer. So if I went out and bought this for myself or my parent, I'm assuming that an organization, let's say it's 100 unit apartment building or senior living community, purchase this from you, it's going to be at a reduced cost because of the volume.
Exactly. There will be a great reduced cost and a lot of other services that don't apply to the consumer. So for instance, we talked about broadcast. We talked about being able to deliver your calendars over the TV. That reduces operational costs. Being able to deliver menus on the TV, being able to order food even on the TV, work orders on the TV, your own educational videos, surveys. So there's a lot there that comes at a reduced cost if you're an organization.
Right. And okay, so let's see. Okay, Rose Seaman has her hand raised, so I'm going to allow her to talk. But while I'm doing that, I want to address a question that Joan Green, who's a tech implementer, she's great. Don't you also have to add a camera on top of the TV? That's included in the product, correct? The camera?
That's correct. Yeah, the camera is included. Let me show you. It just goes right on top of the TV. It's a USB camera. So I'll just take it out of this box while you go to Rose, and I'll just show it.
Yeah. And Rose, you may have raised your hand inadvertently, but if you didn't, like we'd love to hear from you. Okay.
And I take the box out, so I see the.
Oh, here, KIAN, stop sharing your screen.
Let me just show this. That's the camera that goes on top of the TV.
Okay, I was going to say, if you stop doing the screen share, that'll give people there. So if you want
to, sorry about that.
Yeah, so show that to us again.
So here's the camera that goes on top of the TV. It comes in the box, and this is all the things in the box. And you saw the top of the box, I hope. So.
Yep. Okay. Great. Okay, and Rose, it looks like you're on unmute now.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. I am the director of a membership program that is designed to help our members age in place longer. So it's, also combating the digital divide. So we're trying to work on a way to bring our programming into the homes of our members so that they are not feeling so isolated, so that they can be part of a different world right from their living room. So I guess my biggest question, without going into a lot of detail about that, is with this device, for folks who do not have an iPhone or an iPad or a laptop to engage in Zoom calls for programming in classes, does this device turn their television into that type of an instrument where they can then participate? And that's part one. And part two, the digital divide and some of our seniors not having access to the internet.
Sure, great questions, Rose. First is if you don't have Wi-Fi, i.e. internet with an access point, we would need that to connect to the internet. So if the digital divide includes not having, internet access, that has to be created. Again, the cost of that is so low compared to the next stage of care. So that's one thing. The other one is regarding Zoom and, for instance, broadcast messages using Zoom. So effectively, you can have a broadcast, as I mentioned to Steve, where one person could be educating a whole bunch of folks, or they could be doing exercise or inspirational, whatever videos, live or playback. If it's live, the way we would handle the audio is if you want to have feedback coming back to that person, I would suggest you can actually do just a conference call line. So everyone can still speak, but everyone is on, it's a broadcast. It's literally a broadcast from one person to many. So you can make it into an engaging, bi-directional engagement from the group to that person, which, by the way, is probably easier to set up and do than having everyone talk over each other in a Zoom. If you have like a big family member, Zoom meeting, you get to see it's like a few people do all the talking, everybody else kind of gets discouraged. But in an audio situation, there's one person who essentially has the floor and can speak.
While on the low cost, I put a link in there on low cost alternatives for internet for older adults. There are some resources out there. Some counties offer this. I think at one of our previous calls, Montgomery County had some kind of program, but I was I'm encouraged to see, Comcast, AT&T are all have programs that people might qualify for.
Right.
In terms of the digital divide. Also, when I typed this in, low cost options for the internet for older adults, there was an article talking about the new administration and this being a priority with the Biden administration. And so we may see some things open up there as well.
Yeah, Steve, let me just mention the digital divide obviously is a major issue for some, and it has to be addressed at a national level, local level, all of that. But to Rose's point, it's bigger than that because it's also obviously a cost issue. So it's one thing to add the internet and use your existing TV. It's another thing to add the internet, and now you have to get a computer or a tablet, and oh, by the way,
learn how to use it.
Yeah, and you have to learn how to use it. And then now the digital divide is not just a digital divide, it's a training divide, it's a cost divide, it's a support divide. Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Please provide a photo of the input device that a loved one would hold in his or her hand. For what level of cognition is this input device built? Is it designed for people who are fully cognizant, suffering no cognitive design? Please discuss your user testing. Was it conducted independently? Did it include people with any level of cognitive design or visual disability? Last week we had a phone for people with cognitive issues, and a similar user testing question came up. And I'm curious how you answer that, but I also am very sensitive to the fact that when we're innovating and we're creating new products, a lot of times it can be sort of ready, fire, aim. It's sort of like, here's version 1 of our product. Let's see how the users adapt to it. Let's make modifications, this, that, and the other. But I'm curious how you would sort of address those questions.
No, those are great questions. And frankly, you know, any kind of participant in this market has to be able to answer those questions, you know, in the right way, because it's, again, that designing with has to do with being with the person. You can't just design for them and tell them this is the right way for you to do it. So I don't know about a picture, but here's, you know, here's the device again. The way we talk about it is if you can use a remote control, then you can use a device. So this is about as simple as a remote you can get. Again, up, down, left, right, clamshell. We actually designed this ourselves because it doesn't exist in this kind of a format. We don't want extra buttons. So anyone who can use a remote control. Now, if you have cognitive decline to a point where you are absolutely unable to learn anything, then you wouldn't be able to learn even this device. So I'm respectful of that. We do have a feature that we always resisted putting out, but I was convinced of it through one of our dementia-focused home care companies. And their point was exactly to this question. We have, in their case, you know, members or clients that can't use a remote. They might have a custodial home care person 24/7 with this person in their home, but they're not trained to go do clinical conversations or talk about, you know, things to someone who's maybe having an episode. But they can change the TV and whatnot. So they turn the TV on and they're doing other things. They're fixing the home, they're staying for protection, they're answering the call, whatever, cooking food. There's something called Initiate Direct Connect. So if you call someone a video chat and they don't answer, it's like giving someone the house keys. They can actually initiate direct connect and then come on without the person even using the remote control. And we did that only out of respect, again, for dementia. So even in that case, even if you don't know how to use a remote, we open that up so your loved one in a very specific case, you don't want to have that service for everyone because it's disrespectful and not okay. But if you're the daughter, let's say, and you can walk in on mom anytime, you should be able to check in and feel good about what's going on with mom. So the answer, and also regarding testing, yes, absolutely. We've conducted lots of focus groups, including live ones at senior living communities, where we just give the system to people and say, try to break it, what makes sense. I mean, the amount of learning is always huge. So the answer is yes.
Great. Okay, let's see. What is the cost of the technology? Would insurance cover it? Can you just go over the pricing for the consumers again? And obviously that would be discounted if you're a provider.
Sure. So for consumers, it's $39 per month, but you have to sort of stay on that program for a year. Otherwise, there's a $199 penalty, just like, again, wireless company, a phone company, or it's $369 for the year. So, and that saves you $100 over the $39 per month. For enterprises, as Steve mentioned, there's a discount from there, significant.
Yeah, and I'll share KIAN's contact information so that if you're interested, your team could create a proposal for an organization based on their units. As far as insurance,
I'm really enjoying this conversation and the depth and sort of the engaging nature of the questions. And if it helps, I'm sure if some people are looking to buy, maybe you can ask them. I'm happy to like create just on the fly a discount code here so you can enter that upon buying. I think you're doing an amazing job in general and for the audience here. So I'm happy to do our part.
Okay, great. And then they asked about insurance covering this cost. I'm assuming that's not something that's out there right now, but you can, again, I think what we've gone through with isolation and things of that nature, you could see where in the future insurance companies would sort of reimburse people on engagement products.
Exactly. And we don't control that, obviously. We're all for it, but we're focused on having a really powerful, financial value prop compared to sickness and compared to expenses and isolation and engagement, all of that, and buying new products and so forth. on its own merit. But when insurance kicks in, or there's maybe government subsidies that kick in, that's only fantastic for everyone.
Great. And I'm real excited to see that we have somebody on this call today from the San Diego Commission on Aging who is very interested in this and wants to have a connect with you. So I'm emailing Brian DeVore's contact information as we speak. Brian, welcome. One thing that's been pretty cool over the last year is to see how geographically we've moved from the Mid-Atlantic to all over the world on some of our calls. Oh, and here's Brian. He's got his hand raised. I'll allow Brian if you, I think that might have been a mistake.
So Steve, let me share. I didn't mention this, but we're San Diego based. So it's great to, it's serendipitous. And even though this log cabin looks like I'm somewhere up in like Portland, I'm in San Diego.
Great. Brian's got his hand raised actually, so I'm going to allow him to talk. But while he is getting his mic on, Vera says, who in the client's world needs a subscription? The client, me, a daily money manager, adult children, or each of them, their physician. So I guess if mom gets one of these products, let's say not institutional, this is mom gets a product, then the adult child, is it one subscription or does everybody who's on the platform have to subscribe?
No, that's I didn't do it justice as I mentioned it quickly, but this is really important. I appreciate the question because we charge once for that what we call care recipient. So that could be a TV, that could be a bed, that could be an individual. In a short-term rehab, for instance, it's essentially a bed in front of a TV because the individuals come and go. So that's the model. Every connection on top of that, unlimited staff, unlimited friends and family is included. And it's super easy to add. You can actually have different roles. You can have social only. So somebody could just send pictures, do messages, do video chat, and do life stories. But they don't get to, do other things like look at your calendar, add medication reminders, add check-in calls, or look at your data, your health information, or you can even have alert only. So maybe a neighbor who says, hey, listen, if there's a red alert involved with something, I don't mind being, emailed, texted, or called because I can just jump over and see what's going on. So any one of those you can propagate forward yourself easily. And they get an email that says so-and-so has invited you. Here's your username. Here's your temporary password. Click here for an iOS download. Click here for Android download. You download the mobile app, you enter the information. Now you're attached to mom or your neighbor or whoever. All
right. And Brian, looks like you're on. Welcome from San Diego.
Thank you very much. This is an amazing product. I do a lot of work with seniors professionally, being in real estate. But yeah, I'm on the Council on Aging in San Diego, and we'd love to have you come, or not come on Zoom, present this. We're a group of professionals. So you'll be talking with professionals who could help spread the word about what this amazing product does.
Yeah, and I'd love to do that. We're growing, not just US, but international, but I always have a special place in my heart for our local neighborhood. Any way we can help, I'd be delighted.
Yeah,
wonderful.
All right. Thanks for joining, Brian. Okay, let's see. Okay, Janet says, my 92-year-old cousin lives in a senior independent apartment, is showing signs of moderate dementia, is having trouble using the TV remote control devices and phones. Wouldn't this be confusing to her? I think as KIAN had said, yeah, if a user is challenged with a typical TV remote, it's probably not going to be the most appropriate product. But that TV remote or that remote that you showed us is so simple, there may be an opportunity where somebody with some cognitive decline is able to use it.
As many of us know, when you have cognitive decline, what ends up happening is sometimes with repetition, you do pick up things because basically if you've lost short-term memory, you might have the ability to pick up things and learn things with repetition. So if this lady is in the position of maybe 6 times, 10 times repetition, she does learn, then there's a good chance that she can use the system. But maybe the first 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 times, it's very difficult to pick up a new skill and a new affinity. That said, clearly that person is not a candidate for any kind of tablet or computer or passwords or anything like that. So we'd like to be sort of the lowest common denominator for technology. But of course, if it doesn't work for that individual, it's not going to be okay.
I think you addressed this earlier, but again, can somebody participate in a Zoom call via this platform?
No, so we're not a Zoom platform. Keep in mind, again, Zoom is another great video chat platform. Very simple, terrific. But we have not a model where your information may be sold, your information may be taken, and you're the product. So that's a model for Facebook and FaceTime, and not so much FaceTime from Apple, but definitely Facebook Messenger and so forth. So Zoom, if you're on Zoom and someone's on a computer, then they should continue to use Zoom. But imagine all the different services I talked about that come around this. So you still get the video chat, but you get all these other things. So it is a platform to engage with someone in all sorts of ways, including video chat.
Okay. And Glara asks, is this device also voice activated? Any playing around with tying into Alexa or anything like that?
Yeah, so we're fully integrated with this speakerphone. I'm not going to name it. So I'm going to actually show you. I appreciate the question because it's if you do have that platform, I'm going to use it right now. So are you seeing my screen or no?
No.
No, okay. Well, let's see if it's, well, anyway, I don't have to show it, but yes, you can do things like, I'm just going to call it out then. So you hear it. Alexa, launch Independa.
Opening Independa.
Go left.
Going left.
Select.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
that's one thing. The other thing I could do is I can enter health information. I can ask what's on my calendar. I can actually sign up for things. So basically anything you can think of over Alexa.
As a follow-up to the Zoom, is there a way to do something like Microsoft Teams or a conference calling platform via Independa?
Currently, the answer is no. There is a way, and over time, like I mentioned, what we will do is probably have 2 people there, possibly some other format that allows you to scale. But we're not like a Microsoft Teams video chat platform. However, if you can actually run one of those inside, so imagine being able to run Zoom through Independa, that could be an interesting thing.
Great. Let's see. Oh, wow. Okay. We are running out of time here. It's almost 1 o'clock. So,
well, Steve, would people want to have a discount code? And maybe, I don't know if you can do a show of hand. I don't want to.
No, we can definitely, what I would say is if you can put together a discount code, we follow up with everybody on via email with a recording, with the chat, and we will share that with them.
Why don't I just do it right now? We'll put it in the system. So just do PAS for Positive Aging Sourcebook, JAN for January 21. So anyone who goes in, yeah, PAS JAN 21.
Discount code for, okay, that's really nice. Nice. And what I would say to anybody in our audience, that if you end up utilizing this for yourself or your loved ones or your organization, check back in with us. Let us know how it goes, because I'd love to revisit and, kind of hear the story about how it's helping people.
But so there's a great question. And we'll give a 20% discount on that. So, and that's only for the remainder of this month. So,
okay, great.
Yep. And somebody asked a question about anti-hacking. So the system is entirely secure, point-to-point encrypted. data at rest, data at motion, de-identified. So, and the device is a hardened system. So if you steal it, there's no information on it. Really, nobody can say something is anti-hackable or not hackable, but we've gone to great lengths to make it super enterprise grade secure. You can imagine telcos vet us.
Yep. Oh, and also like that code is not, it's not case sensitive.
It's not
Correct.
case sensitive, and
Okay.
if they go to checkout on the cart, there'll be a place where it says enter your code. So
Okay, great.
we can-
And I'll make sure to email that out to everybody. All right. Well, this has been great. I'm really excited about what you've developed and introducing it to our audience. And let's stay in touch and keep us posted on any new developments that are, and we'll have you back on.
Well, Steve, it's absolutely my pleasure. You do such an amazing job with the Sourcebook. Thank you for all that. And also thank you for your audience. They've been great and engaging. I've enjoyed it very much.
Great. All right, everybody. We'll see you at the next one. Thank you.